Hey, what's up, everybody? This is A.L. Johnson with Elevating Men. We're back with another Monday night men's panel. Last week, we had a good conversation surrounding modern sex culture. You've got to check it out. So if you missed it, go to our YouTube channel or check out our Facebook page at Elevating Men. We definitely wanted to round out the conversation and bring a different perspective. And so this week, we have two special guests. I want to introduce you to them really quick. First, we have LaToya Rozof. She's the owner of 79rose.com. We also have Miss Devin Elisse, who is the founder of Lift It KC, and she's also started the Men Heal movement. So before we get into the conversation, I want to give you guys a really quick recap, let you see what happened last week, and bring you up to speed. So check this out.
Last week on Elevating Men.
Andrew, what do you see?
I see the one thing that is there for me, that I can always ingest, that I can always go to fix me. The one thing, and it's not even a person anymore. It's just a thing. I don't even see her heart. I don't see her mind. I don't see her dreams. I don't see anything about her. All I see is that fix that she is dying to give me, that she is dying to give me.
Well, first of all, we must understand this, that the addiction is not just for the man, the addiction is also for the woman. And there would be two sides that I would go, so far as that's concerned, is that we have no fear of the aftermath. Dr. Bernie Davenport outlined, and we'll get to that later, dealing with soul ties. We have to understand that when we talk about soul ties, I'm not necessarily talking to the born again believer or the person that believes in God. It just happens that way because whomever that you've been with, you also have been with the last person that person has been with also, and can take up on those types of characteristics.
How was that?
Because my motive operandi is not to have a connection in a relationship. It's to be relatable now, and to find something that you can do to get me on a greater high than I had before, because now I got preferences. And I want to see, can you do out the last one? And do out the last one, do you do that one better? So it becomes a competition, not a relationship.
You know,
I'm related to you, how you look on the outside, but I'm also trying to relate how it feels good to be on you on the inside, which momentarily takes away my conditions, my situations, and my issues that have been problematic for the last 10 minutes, hour, 2 or 3 days. Now I can release something.
Look at what our women are becoming. I'm not saying every woman is like that, but like you said, Andrew, every time we get on the internet, something's always popping up. I do the same thing, less of, but it always comes up some type of way, no matter what. It's a distraction to keep you focused on this thing right here and spend so much time on this thing right here that we are oblivious to what's really going on around us. It distracts us from focusing on our goals. It keeps us in that. Think about it. It's nowadays it's fun to cheat. It's fun to be promiscuous. It's fun to ruin families. It's fun because it's just sex. Some people, not everybody, because there's a lot of people who don't need it, but some people mistake sex for love. And that's the wrong thing. So that's why you can see a lot of men manipulating women because I love you. I care about you. I'm showing you attention, but really it's about sex. And then.
So as you can see, last week got real and raw, and those were just a few clips. So like I said, it's getting ready to go down. Make sure you grab your drinks, grab your popcorn. We're getting ready to get started right now. Yo. What's up, everybody? How y'all doing tonight?
What it do? What it do?
Good.
Good evening,
Uh,
everyone.
Man, listen. So last week was crazy. It was crazy. So I want to let the ladies talk first before we do anything. Before we do anything. So you guys saw the clips. You saw what we were talking about. You saw where we went. I'm gonna start with you, Miss Devin. What did you think?
Just throw me on the spot. First off, hello, brothers. It is so good to have you guys back online. I've been missing y'all. I hope the community has been missing y'all and they're tuned in. That was some heavy stuff. It was one of the things that I can say as a woman, I can respect the honesty of men when it comes to the honesty that you men possessed on having the conversation about sex, because sometimes even talking to men, we still kind of get the game side of it. Like, I'm gonna tell you what you want to hear, but really being transparent and real and raw and saying what it is, I think that is going to be the very thing that helps heal our culture, that helps inform the younger generation coming up on the pros and cons of sex, and how our world and how our culture is starting to really gravitate to this weird, I don't even know the word I'm looking for, but it's almost like we idolize sex, and everything that is getting pushed in our face has some kind of sexual tone to it. So I just want to say kudos to you guys for creating the platform, having the conversation, and also inviting me in. And hey, sis LaToya, I ain't seen you in a while either. So I am so happy to be back on this platform with y'all and have these discussions. So let's get it.
Miss Latoya, you saw a little intro there. You saw what we talked about last week. Was there anything that stood out to you?
All of it. I mean, it's a hot topic, and I look at it from a different perspective of from a black woman's perspective. We've been hyper sexualized since the beginning of time, and so you have to think about it from, are we just catching up and owning our sexuality, or is this just a product of us being hyper and over sexualized since beginning from the beginning?
Love it, love it. And so there was a face that you didn't see last week, but you see him all the time anyway. Lauren Jones, aka Lauren Speaks, man. What did you see? What did you hear?
Man, well, before we get to what I heard, I just got a quick question. Did you have to shave your chest hair to do that intro? I just want to
No,
Don't take the bait.
you
Don't
always clowning.
take the bait.
Man, I expected from him
know.
though.
I,
It would be him.
a lot of, it was interesting, just kind of listening, because I did tune in for a little bit last night, or last week, I mean. But a lot of truth was spoken, like Devin said, a lot of honesty. And I know Boykin went really, really deep into the subconscious. LBZ, just kind of speaking raw and real, about how a lot of us as men, how we really process sex. It's almost a form of communication for us as it relates to the opposite sex.
Mm, that's solid. That's solid. So, ladies, this was the image. I know you guys that have tuned into the show before. We always have an image that we kind of look at that really brings things to life for us. And so, this is the image that we used last week.
Hmm.
Yep. So, um, what do you see when you see that? Like, what's the first thing that comes to mind?
It's hard because it's art and it's someone's creation, right? And so I want to be respectful to the artist. You can interpret it a few ways. One, he can just be so intoxicated with the black woman and her body that it's like there's all kind of songs about your love is our love is a drug, right? There's so many popular songs about love is a drug. And so is he addicted to the woman, or he addicted to her body? Is this their relationship, right? So I can go both ways because like art is subject to interpretation. So that's why I'm trying to not offend the artist because it's a beautiful work of art. When I see it, it's like, are you addicted to the woman? Is this an example of your relationship, or is it? I guess she's naked, so, or is it sex act? I don't know. It's open to interpretation. So I'm trying to be a little HR me is being a little trying to be a little PC.
Listen, it ain't no HR here. You ain't got to be PC. Just speak your mind. But I love that, and that's why we wanted to have you guys on because that was a completely different take than anything that we heard last week from the men. What about you, Miss Debbie?
I will echo what LaToya said, because I actually see a lot of, I think it's a young lady that does this type of art. And what I can respect most is that her art always starts conversations. Like I see many posts where there's images of her art and it's creating dialogue. And I think I'm not an artist or anything in that lane, but I would assume that that's the whole point in the art that she does is to provoke those thought-bearing conversations. And when I look at it, instantly just looking at the surface of the picture, I thought addiction. Like he's addicted to her, he's addicted to her body. I didn't see anything sexual. Because
Mm.
again, it's pulling from her stomach. So I mean, if I'm thinking if they wanted it to be sexual, it would have been sexual. It would have been a body part or something of that nature. So I was just assuming like he's trying to um take her soul. Like he's pulling from that and he's addicted. So I didn't see anything sexual, but I definitely think that's the whole point is to create the dialogue around how people see it and how it's perceived and then have these kind of conversations.
Yes, and I would say exactly. I would say, is the intent to have a healthy conversation about sex and relationships? Because if you think about it, like sex has always been a taboo topic until here in the last 10 years. But it's always kind of been taboo. And like when you hear things, like even growing up, it's like, oh, don't do anything until you're married. Well, come on, people been teenagers been having sex for generations. So it's like maybe the conversation should be, should you do it? Here's how to do it safely. So I don't know if the artist was trying to invoke healthy conversations around sexuality and relationships.
Hmm.
Mm. So I see a couple things personally, right? One, I see a man who is indulging in what may be considered his favorite drug, which
Mm.
is sex. It's an escape. It's a form of escape for a lot of people. I also see that she seems to be pleasured by it herself. So her being desired is its own thing. And so a part of the conversation that we had last week surrounded, it's kind of brought up, are women gaining power from the ability to be sexualized? They can monetize that. Like we see women with OnlyFans, they're making a ton of money. We see women on social media, they're able to gain 1 million followers just like that. All they have to do is
Absolutely.
just have the right look and be
Hmm.
willing to take the right type of pictures and stuff like that. So is there power in it?
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I guess the real question is it wrong?
Mm, is it wrong? Is it
Is it
wrong? Okay, so
wrong? Is it wrong? If you think about, let's go back to the history of women. Let's go back to the history of women. Like 30, well, almost 35 years ago, we couldn't even get a credit card unless we had a man co-signing for us. So is it because women are in a liberated state of sexuality at this current era? Right? So I think you can, I'm trying to be open minded. I think you can look at it different ways. As somebody with nieces, young nieces, like I feel like a lot of things right now are cringy. Like if I was like, if
Hmm.
I had a daughter, it's like, oh my gosh, you can't have anything. No social media, no nothing. I don't want
Yeah.
you watching Disney till you're 25. But I'm sure you men that are fathers can echo that. But at the same time, it's like, how do you teach women to grow into their sexual have liberty with their sexuality and yeah, own it. Like, is it wrong? I guess my for going back to my question, I'll ask you guys the question: is it wrong the state of OnlyFans and women making money and things like that. Because now, like, even we don't say prostitute, we say sex workers. We're PC about those terms too. A sex
Right.
worker, stripper is a sex worker, right? We've given power to them making money with their bodies. So I'll turn the question back to you guys. Sorry, is it wrong?
Can we go Andrew and then LaRon on that?
I wish you would have went LaRon on that.
No, we need to.
I know where LaRon stands.
Is it
That's
wrong?
what I was thinking, like morally or spiritually wrong. Now we're talking.
Yeah, like, is it wrong?
So I try not to deal in right and wrong. However, would you put the image up, Andrew, please?
All right.
So he's snorting this. That's what he's doing. He's snorting this. I'm not talking about her, but he's snorting this. And that process of snorting this drug has been associated with gaining some type of feeling, either gaining a feeling or reducing a feeling. Either way, the idea is to do something about my feeling. So this is not about anything other than, for me, escaping this feeling or increasing a feeling. For me, has nothing to do with her, has nothing to do with my future, has nothing to do with building, has nothing to do with whatever we're talking about. It has something to do with my feeling. That's why I do drugs. That's why I sex, I eat, I gamble, whatever my addiction is. And we use the word addiction because nowadays I ingest her, all of her. Whether it's her finances, whether it's her motivation, whether it's her support, whether it's her, whatever the case may be, that I do not do because it makes me feel bad that I don't do it. So I ingest it from her. So it's wrong that I'm taking from her so that I can feel better. And then I go out and try and uplift the community. Well, one hand says I'm building and one nose says I'm tearing down when I'm snorting it, when I'm snorting her.
We are assuming though that she's not a willful participant too.
Yes, I was gonna say she looks happy. Maybe I'm reading it wrong, but I'm like she looks. Yeah, like she's enjoying being the drug, being consumed. Exactly. I'm gonna come to you, LaRon. I want you to answer the question that LaToya threw out there, like, is it right or wrong? But I also want to throw, just add another layer to this. And so we talked about OnlyFans, sex work, all of that. Bad Baby. She made $52 million on OnlyFans, and I believe it was between 18 and 19 years old, if I'm not mistaken. Between 18 and 19 years old. So all of us on here, I believe, have daughters. And so when it comes to, do you want to go to college for 4 years and try to climb the corporate ladder to make a success of yourself, a financial success? Or do you just hop on OnlyFans and you can be a multimillionaire? Like, that is actually a legitimate question nowadays. And so, LaRon, what do you got to say, bro?
Is it wrong? That's a very good question. I say at the end of the day, everybody's given free will. Everybody has a choice. If we go to the spiritual side of things, yes, it is wrong because we're prostituting our body. We're giving up what really was given as a gift to us to use before it goes back to the dust. And if we're talking spiritually, and we're talking about morale, then it's not moral to give your body to anything because we're all special in the King's eyes. And so he sets things in place for spiritual closeness with them, and also so we don't run into many of the obstacles that we run into down here on this earth when it comes to our sexuality. Example, kind of giving this, what we don't look at is that though a lot of these women who are doing OnlyFans and putting their body out there, going to the club wearing fishnet, when it really should be their husbands seeing them, someone who's special to them, someone who loves them not just for their body, but their mind, someone who's exclusively about them. Instead of that right there, a lot of times I see a lot of women out there putting their body out there because they do want attention. It's obviously for attention, but the downside of it is the mental health side of it.
Mm.
That's what people don't think of. It's that it affects their psychology. It affects the way that they really feel about themselves. It's like what it does is it numbs the fact that they feel lonely, that they don't feel desired, that they feel a certain way about their own self and their own mind. And so in order to get the attention that they desire from everyone else because it makes them feel special, that right there is what I truly believe keeps them going. Because the truth is, if there was no attention given to that, if there was no money thrown at that, if it was just like, just another body like everybody else's, then there would be no OnlyFans. Then there wouldn't be no I'm dressing like this because I want people to look at me and want my body. Because when people show that they want someone's body, or when a woman sees her body being what's the word I'm looking for?
Admired.
There we go, right there, admired and getting attention from it. That right there brings security to their minds. It brings desire. Someone cares about me to their minds. And so now they can forget about what they really feel on the inside about themselves. Now the image is, because this is how they see me, so now I'm a baddie. But if no one called you a baddie, if no one gave you attention, would you feel like a baddie? The truth is, most likely not. Because if we stop doing that, putting ourselves out there, will we say first of all, we probably wouldn't even call ourselves a baddie. A baddie, a lot of time when I hear baddies, I'm just being honest, and correct me if I'm wrong. Most of the time I hear a woman call herself a baddie, she's half naked, or that's the lifestyle she lives.
I gotta let the ladies chime in on that. Audrey, what are your thoughts?
Was that a question for us?
Yeah, well, what are your thoughts on what he said? Because he said a lot. So
yeah, I'm trying to digest.
Is it a self-esteem thing? Is it mental health? Is it self-esteem? Because I can say personally, if I know that I have two daughters. When it comes to a point of them finding themselves, when it comes to a fashion standpoint, we want our daughters to be modest. We do understand that it's a process of them coming into womanhood, finding out what they like, what they feel confident in, what they feel comfortable in. I always want to reassure my daughters that regardless of anything physical, actually showing their bodies, that they're still beautiful. And so I think he was kind of alluding to that fact that sometimes women rely on basically being half naked as a self-esteem booster. It may be that, it may be something else. That's why we have you here.
Yeah, I think I'm gonna speak from a cultural perspective. I am in the fashion world, and the thought look is the trend right now, and it's something I currently don't subscribe to necessarily, but I feel like I'm gonna speak from a different perspective always. Now, when you do hear the word baddie, I don't always think somebody's half naked. I just think, me personally, think of a boss lady, a girl that's going out after what she wants, and like how she dressed never crosses my mind. And that's interesting perspective, because when I think of that word, I think it's just like a beautiful woman who's just confident in herself, right? Again, there is something I think a little bit liberating by a woman who can walk in a room half naked and demand attention. I mean, it's like, but I don't know. You dropped a lot, so I have to digest and put, a lot. I think that the culture right now, the thought look is the trend, and that's what people are wearing to elude confidence. And I mean, you guys have daughters. Like, what? Everything's a crop top. You can't find any shorts that cover your bottom nowadays. It's like kind of crazy, even like going to I saw somebody posting some dresses for an award show, and think of these girls going to prom. I'm like, your mom let you wear that? Like,
Mm-hmm.
you need to cut this dress up and put some more patches on or something. But I think is, I kind of think is I think that's the culture and where we are right now. I think the pendulum has swung from sex being totally taboo to all the way on the side of the pendulum where it's like there's no privacy, there's no holds bar, and we overshare, right? So I think the topic is the negative side of sex culture. Yes, I think that you do see as, and we're trying to lump everybody in the same, group, how we dress. So there's like a lack of individuality, personally.
I just want to add on it real quick, just if that's cool. Like, please
Yeah,
jump in.
definitely.
I would say, and LaToya, I love your response. I love it. I want to say, like, for now, correct me as well, brothers, if I'm wrong on this. But for men, when we hear baddies, there's a difference between if we hear boss lady. I don't think of a half naked woman when I see her. Oh, she a boss. Okay, she about her money. When I hear baddie, okay, she about her flaunt. It's more. That's what. Now, correct me, brothers, if I'm wrong on that. And Devin, definitely jump in. I don't want to interrupt because I know you probably gonna say something.
I mean, yeah, I get that too. I get that too. A lot of times, she's a bad chick, she's a bad this, bad that. It generally has something to do more with her body than her mind.
Mm.
Yeah, I'll definitely say that. A question I wanted to ask the women, I guess only a woman can answer it. Where's the line between your sexual liberation? You want to feel sexy, you want to look good, and this and that. But at the same time, if a man approaches you in a certain way based off of how you're dressed, so in his mind, he's reading it one way, in your mind, you're reading it a different way. Where's the line drawn? I know, does that question make sense?
It
Evan,
makes
Devin, you go first.
Okay. I would say it makes sense, and this is what I was gonna say to LaRon's statement. I think there is a level of confidence because one of the things that I really think is misconstrued when women dress a provocative way is that there's a lack of confidence. You got to have a certain level of confidence to actually expose yourself in that regard. So when it's about now, I think that there may be other things going on. I'm not gonna like take away from the mental health component or any of that, but I do believe that there has to be a certain level of confidence. And then in saying that, also I know women that will dress provocative to the cultural degree, I would say. So they may have on a fishnet dress and all she has is undergarments on, but it's fashion now. So they're not looking at it like, oh, I'm exposing myself or I'm demeaning myself, but it's about fashion. And if we even look back to last night award show, like there were a lot of women that's just like LaToya was saying, like it's the culture of where our fashion is now. I'm looking at these little girls' prom dresses. Like even when I throw my prom for adults, the women don't come, they don't come in there dressed like how our high school girls come in dressed. So I think there's just a difference in where we are culturally in what we see and what appeals to us from a fashion standpoint. And I really think that there's times where I might wear something that's really revealing, and then there's sometimes where I feel like I'm a go, but I can guarantee when I walk in the room, heads turn both ways because my aura is what makes people turn, not necessarily. Now, I'm not gonna say that if I walk in a fishnet 10 men ain't gonna turn versus 9 that would turn if I came in a granny sweater. But it's still, I'm a firm believer that I have a certain level of confidence that I've even been complimented on, that when I walk into a room, that's what's attractive. And I agree with LaToya, like in the woman's world, we look at the term baddie as like a term of like accolades, I would say, not necessarily like, oh, she a baddie thought vibes. Like we look at it like, oh, she about her business. Like because we as women, we look at women's aura when they walk in. So when you walk in, I can look at you and be like, oh, she got confidence. Oh, she about her business. Oh, look at how she put that outfit. Like we
Hmm.
look at things totally different than how a man
Exactly.
sees it. So I guess that's definitely what makes the conversation intriguing is hearing from a man's perspective on how you guys see things versus how we see it, which might also play into why we move and dress and act the way we do because we perceive it different than you guys do.
So can I add something real quick? So I've
Yeah.
got a friend, and I'm wondering how this plays out in relationships, right? Because I've got a friend, he's had issues with the way that his woman dresses, right? He says, well, she's dressing for attention. She says, no, I'm doing this for me. He says, well, if you're doing it for you, why don't you do it around the house? Or why don't you do it when you're just alone and dress up and stand in the mirror and say, oh, I feel pretty. You only do it when you go out to get attention.
Who
And
gonna
so
see
that's
you
his
at
take.
home?
Right.
I'm just curious because
That's the
if
point.
it's for you, if it's for you,
When I'm at home, I look like the bag lady. Like I ain't
Right.
I
Like it's
go
yeah, I'm with her on this one. It's like who gonna see me when I'm at home but you? So I'm gonna
Ooh,
say also
wait,
it's
wait, 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 hold on, pause,
oh,
pause, pause. Yeah, because Andrew jumped too. So,
yeah.
because this is why it's good to have both sides of the conversation, male and female, so we can kind of gain an understanding. And so, to a man, when he hears that, he's like, I'm just seeing you.
No,
But
no,
this
no,
is
no,
the
no.
man that you
Repeat that, Andrew. It's just
repeat
you.
what? It's just, yeah, it's just
Just
you.
you.
But when I go out, it's other people. So you can say it's for me, it's not for you. Then you can say it's for him. You say, well, nah, it's just you. So then when you go out, who are you actually doing all that for?
but there's different
It-
levels to it because for
yeah,
my man, he's only
yeah.
going to see me in lingerie. I'm not going to wear that out. But when I go out, I want to present myself in a certain manner that has nothing to do with trying to make my man feel insecure, not trying to see how many men are going to hit on me. It's just like, I feel like getting cute today. And this is what I want to do to be cute. And again, I don't think, and I hear a lot of men say it because again, I have a really good friend that she dresses that way and you hear the chatter, but she has a man that literally like high fives it. Like he like, that's my woman. Like he enjoys it.
So,
But then you
so is
have
And
he
other
insecure?
men that are like,
So
no,
is a
it
man?
I don't
Oh,
think it's
yeah.
insecure. I think it's just a
Mhm.
misunderstanding on understanding that, like, again, we're in this space of liberating ourselves. So sometimes we do that through fashion. Sometimes we do that through our circle of girls. Like, a lot of men might not understand. Prime example, you can have a friend that everybody know this friend is not the ideal friend. She's always in some drama, but there's something that she pours in or you can pour into her in a way, but your man might be like, I don't want you hanging around her. Birds of a feather flock together. But you're not understanding what else that relationship brings to each other. But for a man, a lot of men say that they think with logic, but I think men are a little emotional, more so than women most times. And because you guys try to see the logic in it, it keeps you guys from just being able to agree to disagree and accept and know your woman. Like I also feel like being with a person, you need to know who you're with and what their mind is and where their heart is, and understanding that my girl ain't going out in this dress because she's trying to get another man. That's her. That's her wanting to do
that's it.
something for herself.
That's
And it has nothing to do with man, woman, boy, child, crowd, none of that.
that's it. That's it. I was gonna say this, two things. One, part of the problem with everything that in these all these conversations that we're trying to put everybody in a one size fits all formula, right? What works with this relationship is not going to work for the next relationship. Like that's people's business, right? So you do have some men who don't care because they're secure. It's not a lack of security, but they don't care. Like they know that woman's coming home to them, so she can go out looking however she want, right? And then you have some men who that is going to be bothered by that, and that's their business. So I think each situation is different and we can't put lump everything in a one size fit all formula. And the other thing somebody brought was going to say, it's all about generational too and age. Somebody said, and I was thinking at the same time, right? There is a level of confidence that comes. So I'm in my mid 40s. There are probably some things I'm not going to wear because the relationship I have with my husband out of respect, right? So, but I'm coming from a different era when we dress differently, right? But women that come after me, it's a different it's a different different standard, and that works for them. And I don't judge. I'm just at a place where I'm being open-minded. Like, I wouldn't wear that, right? But I ain't gonna judge somebody else because they want to wear it, because that relationship, that's the standards that they have with their relationship, right? So if, and going back, I think Andrew, how he balked when I said it's just you. I mean, in that there is some, not saying that I'm not gonna dress up and look good for my man at home. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying it's like, if your thing is style and fashion, and that's how you represent yourself, you want more people to see it than just your man at home. That's what I was getting at. You want more
Oh,
people to see it than just because that's how you show up. Example, when I go to events, like, it's like if I go at 79 Rows, owner 79 Rows, there's a different level of how I dress in that room than when I'm going to another type of networking event for work or something like that. Because I have a boutique, I have to come in looking like I own a boutique, not like I just jumped out of bed, right? So there's a different level, different standard of that I have. So it kind of depends on those circles too. But again, you have to think, especially Black women have been hypersexualized for centuries, from the beginning of time when we were put on display because of the bottom by men back in slavery and things like that. And I kind of feel like we're at a place where we're taking that back. Like, this is my
so
body.
so is that kind of like, is it kind of like the N
I want
word?
to show it, you
I'm
know?
just curious. Is that kind of like the N word? Like, that slave master used to call us the N word. Now we call ourselves the N word, and we say like that's kind of taking back our power. Is that similar?
Sort of. I mean, I think that's kind of that's how, okay, I feel like this. That's how I am learning how to interpret this
I
current
feel you. No,
trend.
I'm asking.
Now, I
I'm
don't
not being,
always
yeah.
agree with it, but that's how I'm learning to interpret this current trend of fashion. Like she said, BET Awards. I was watching it like, then I had to stop cringing, because that is the culture, that's the style, that's how they decided to show up, and that's what the current style of fashion is.
I want to
So I'm gonna take
Question.
a quick second. Yeah, I'm definitely coming to you, Andrew. I want to acknowledge the crowd real quick because we got a lot of comments that are coming in. For everybody that's watching, thank you. We appreciate you tuning in. We appreciate your comments, and so we're going to go through those right now. Please share this with your network because we want to add more people to this conversation. It's an issue that happens in people's household, men and women. They're butting heads with each other over clothes and sex, and we're trying to figure out what we need to do with our kids. And so let's get more people in on this conversation. First, we have Isha McConnell. She said, I only care to look good for my man. Um, we have Louise Locks. Thanks for tuning in. She said it depends on age as well. Things have changed. I remember when you did not see all of what's going on nowadays. There are older women that are trying to compete with one another. There's a way to dress sexy and keep it secret. We got Isha McConnell. She said, that's it, Devin. She was saying, gone, girl. All right, so right here we have, I was raised in a religious family so that you represent the king is what my elders say. Also, I'm a single woman, but I represent my future husband. I don't need him uncomfortable at the barbershop when they get into the combos of women. And she also said that Black women and men are both hypersexualized. I definitely agree with that. Thank you for the comments. We appreciate that. Last one, I believe it is the new culture. It's more harmful than good. Andrew, I know you've been holding on to a couple things. I'm gonna give you the floor for a couple minutes.
Okay,
Let
so
it all out.
I'm gonna try and make this quick. Devin talked about baddie, and I think LaRon introduced that. When I first heard that term, it was said that if you're bad, then you're doing something wrong. But then the culture flipped it, saying, "Okay, you know what? We're always bad because of our Black skin. So we're gonna flip this. Bad now means good. So I'm a bad dude. Hey, I'm bad." So nowadays, women are taking back their sexuality. So they're bad bitches while they're smoking cigars. Okay, so yeah, that's where bad derived from, in my opinion, as far as taking back that nigger word. And she said, "Where's the line drawn?" Well, the line is drawn here for some men. And excuse me for saying it like this. The line is drawn here for me and men that I've talked with. The line is drawn right here, right between their breasts. The line is drawn right down there where the camel toe is. The line is drawn right back here where the butt cheeks are. That's where the line is drawn. And now the line is drawn right here where the lips are, because that's all our hypersexuality is focused on. So if she really feels like a bad bitch, just understand that, yeah, that's probably all we think of her as at the end of the day. And for that man that feels some kind of way because she leaves the house dressed like that, maybe it's not necessarily about how she's dressed or how she appears. Maybe in his mind, he's trying to figure out, who am I going to have to defend her against when they grab her? Because they don't admire her beauty. They don't admire her fashion. They see the lines that I just identified. Because she came out that way, it has to be her fault that I'm going to do this to her. So that means, as her man, am I going to go to prison? And am I going to shoot somebody? Or am I going to get killed trying to protect her? What am I going to do because of how society's hypersexuality now perceives what they are now seeing from my woman?
I could get that last perspective. I don't know where the bad bitch came in. We weren't talking about that. That's a different bracket of women.
Or bad B. I feel like bad B and
That's
bad B
different.
are all in
Yeah,
the
those
same.
are two
They're
different
all
kind
in
of
the-
women.
Yeah, but I want to say, like, this is a issue I feel like in rape culture too. It's like, because I wore something gave you the right to touch me, and I was like, I want to let's make that clear. I can wear whatever I want to wear. You don't have any right to touch me or look at me any type of way. You know, like, you can't say, oh, you came in, that's saying you wore a short skirt, so you wanted me to come and say something slick to you. No, I didn't. I wore a short skirt because I wanted to wear a short skirt because I want to show off my legs, and I'm confident about my legs. So you need to back up. You know what I mean? So, like, I want to be clear about those statements.
Let me ask you this. What if you cannot back me up, though? Because rape culture is real. That's why that's why it's there. What if you cannot back me up because I'm 275 pounds, drunk, and I don't care? What if you cannot back me up?
That's a different conversation, probably for a different.
But it's a very real conversation.
It is a real conversation, but I'm just saying, let's be clear. No matter if somebody said, what makes you want to wear that? That person wants to wear it. Again,
right. You're right. You have every right. I'm wrong because, for one thing, I am hypersexualized and I do not see you as a person. I am wrong. I admit that. However, that's why we have the news. That's why we have rape. That's why we have, because I'm wrong. I am.
And I think that's why the conversation can even go a different way, because you don't even have to be dressed explicit for someone to rape you. So I think that's a whole nother conversation. But I do agree that how I present myself should never give anyone the idea that they can violate me. And that's just like saying, I mean, and granted, like we said, if we want to hit on that, how men are hypersexualized as well. The whole new little hoochie daddy shorts thing. Women can admire, but are we going to come up and be aggressive because you now have on some short shorts? Or a man can come in and look GQ dapper in a nice suit. Does that mean we can come and touch his chest because he didn't wear a shirt under his suit? So I still feel like there are people that are just going to lust over you regardless of what you have on. So
now let me throw this in there, since you said the male part. I'm gonna be real with you. Women feel like they get a pass. Yeah, women can be very aggressive, definitely. And so there's two parts to it. You know, one, are men insecure? So Devin brought up the fact that men have stronger feelings than women. I 100% agree with that. I really do. We say that
why
men
is that
are
the women y'all go after then? If you saying like this is like why is that the woman, the same women that y'all talking about, like that we're talking the same women that we're talking about, like one for attention, is the same women that gets all the clout.
That's not
models, the best.
I'm gonna tell you why. Though. I'm gonna tell you why.
All of that, like, but the girl over here with her jean jacket on and her black dress ain't getting no play because y'all over here looking at the girl that's
But
dressed like a thought. So
and
That's
liking her
just for
pictures and giving it the attention.
right,
So
Mm.
and you in
that's
somebody
true.
else's DMs as a grown man, and it's like,
But
so
but
like
but
this
but what's the
conversation can
reason
take a
though?
different turn too.
No, but
so you
yes, but
can't
what is the
highlight
reason?
that, because to me it's like, as a man, and I'm not a man, but from the outside of a woman looking into men, you guys will like the Instagram models, the big booty women, you'll like the half naked women, but then you don't want your woman like that because you know that you lust over that exact same thing. So it's
But you use the
almost,
word. You use it's lust. It is just lust.
And that's women y'all
That's
but
cheating
all it
but
with.
is.
it's still,
Women y'all cheating
but
with.
if your woman knows that you're lusting, and I'm just getting, we're talking hypotheticals now, because
Yes, yes.
maybe she wasn't originally a dresser of that nature, but because she sees that this is the very thing that captures your eye, she's going to try to become that.
It's
But
getting her
now it's
Right.
bills
like, no,
paid.
don't do that,
It's getting her
because
mortgage paid. It's getting putting her through school. But the girl
Okay,
over
but
yeah.
here that's
okay, now
dressed
when you say
like
that,
normal, it's like
when
she
you
ain't
say
getting
that,
no play.
this is my thought process. This is where my mind goes. I feel like a lot of times we're looking at like the top 10% financially. Because when you say putting her through school, you know, flying her all over the place, most men ain't doing that. That's not the majority of men. That's like, the top
Flying
10%
her
on
over the
social
place,
media.
yes. Maybe not putting her through
We
school,
we
but
talking
Y'all,
about
but
we
y'all
talking
in the
about
DMs. Y'all in the
it
we're
don't
talking
DMs.
cost a
about
lot to fly
now.
her out.
Okay,
Y'all cash apping.
so if we go hopping in the DMs, let's go hopping in the DMs. That is pure lust. And so as a woman, you have to decide, like, do I want to be perceived as a potential wife, or do I just want a whole bunch of dudes in my DM? If you want a bunch of dudes in your DM, all you got to do is show a little something that's going to happen.
Wait,
I'm
wait, wait,
not
wait.
saying that men don't jump in every woman's DM, but it's a little bit different. And it's
So
for a different purpose, I believe. Generally, have you ever heard this? You all have female friends, women who carry themselves at a certain level that are highly attractive that men don't even approach them.
Somebody told me that, and I was almost offended until they broke it down. And it was like
No,
almost a
that's real.
compliment, but it's
Men,
still.
for the men on the panel, have you ever seen a woman that carried herself in such a classy way? She was fine. She was a 10, but you were like, I don't even feel right approaching her like that. I don't feel right coming at her like that. And then there's the other woman, she's dressed a certain way. You're like, shoot, I'm gonna just shoot my shot. I'm gonna shoot it from half court. I'm gonna shoot it from the other end of the court because hey, I might make a swish.
Because it's
It's a
laziness.
difference.
Because the other woman
It's
you go work
laziness.
for. This other chick, you can cash app her $20 and she
Toya,
gonna
he
be
was asking
happy.
the men, we
Some
got to be
Black and Miles or
quiet.
something. She gonna be happy. You know what I'm saying? It's about the level of work that's when you want to put into anything, relationships, work, wherever. It's just the amount of work. It's like you want the shiny object that is right in front of you, or do you want to work to get the toy that's gonna last you for a while? So
Most. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt you,
No,
Toya.
no, go ahead.
Most most men's shiny object is half naked women.
and then y'all
Oh,
wondering why the culture is where it's at right now.
Watch this though. Check this out though. I want to say two things. Just because it's culture doesn't make it right.
Correct.
So I
Correct.
don't care what everybody else is doing. I'm going to look at what's the results of it. And then I'm going to make my decision on that because most people follow culture. And that's why we're in a bunch of the mess we're in right now.
exactly.
Because if we know that the dressing culture causes things, think about it. Now, I'm sure, now I can't fully 100% go about getting statistics, but I'm sure, check this out. If you were to look up statistics of rape culture in America versus in some Muslim countries, you probably see a significant difference. And I don't even know that. So look it up. but I will say, again, culture doesn't mean it's right because everybody's doing it. When you see all this half naked women and exposing themselves, like I said, here's my thing. I don't have nothing against you. Let me get that very clear. I have nothing against you. I know what's going on. I see what's going on. I know how it affects a man's mind, a man who loves God's mind, and I don't even be on that stuff. I love my wife. I got one woman, and it affects me.
So would it be a jump to say that in order to change our culture, it has to start with the men?
It goes
Because
with
if
Yes.
men stop
Of
looking at
course.
women and lusting over women, then women will stop doing the things to get lusted over or to be attracted
boom.
or whatever the case may be. Which is why, shameless plug, Lifted KC really focuses on men, because I feel like when men regain their rightful space as the protectors of our home, the protectors of our community, a lot of the things that are glorified by culture will begin to disintegrate, because it's going to be real men standing up like, nah, that's not cool. Nah, bruh, I'm going to check you on that because you're my brother. Nah, little sis, I'm going to check you on that because that's not what we want our sisters to look like. But in today's culture, we have men playing into the game along with the women. So it's just,
They always have though.
I
They
mean, but
they always they
that's the same
always
thing.
have. They always
That's
yeah,
have.
like with Bad Baby. Who gave her $52 million? I'm assuming the majority of that was men.
So
Yeah.
so
yeah.
what Devin said, what Devin said, we were
Yeah.
talking about we were talking about how women dress that attracts the rape culture. We were talking about how women dress that gets the money. Um, Flipping that, exactly what Devin said. Imagine if we talked about this right here, the mind of that man that is broken, society, culture, the producers of last night's show, and everybody else that winds our clock or winds our battery and makes us go. Everybody knows uh, how to send us in a specific direction, and we do that because they know that this man's mind is broken, and he's looking for anything that he can snort to soothe this. So therefore, now that society knows that, now that women know that, now that everybody else knows that this is broken, this is now their new cash cow. This is
Mhm.
now their new cash cow.
Yeah. Sex sells. Sex sells.
That
Um,
it
and so
always
like
so yeah.
now the point about men, because so when it comes, you were talking about you know, the R word culture. I'm trying not to have the algorithm shut us down, but the R word culture, right? So is it more about the physicality of men? Generally, men are stronger, bigger. They're able to do things that women can't, because women get away with a lot when it comes to, they see something and they like it. If it's a man, he's walking around, he's got his shirt off or whatever. I've had women come straight up and just touch me just like it was nothing. Is it because they're weaker and it's like I'm not necessarily in danger that it's okay? Or, I mean, what's the
I
difference?
think it has a lot to do with men glorifying sexual activity. Like, just think about it. You have young boys at the age of 6, 7, 8 that were molested by adult relatives, adult babysitters, and it was high fives. Oh, you got that old chick. But had it
Mhm.
been a 6 or 7 year old little girl that was molested by her older neighbor that was a boy, now it's a crime. And I say this to my sons all the time: dating an older woman is not accolades. That is a crime. And I promise you, you tell me that you dating a woman that's 20 and you 16, I'm putting her in jail if I don't put my hands on her. Because we've, again, as a culture, we glorify the wrong things and we make it norm when it should always and should have always been abnormal. So women doing it, men don't say anything, because now you have a badge of honor that, man, this girl just touched on my chest. Yeah, I got muscles. No, she just violated you. But if you say something, now you have to worry about being looked at as soft or weak because you're standing up for your physical space. No, I don't think it's anything wrong with it. And it's really crazy because most people know me, I'm like a two-stepper, and I see a whole lot of groping in that little circle, and it just be like, this is just supposed to be a dance that y'all, women are very aggressive in that space, and I'm not saying in any other space, but I can only speak on what I see. And I'll call you out on it. Like, why did you just do that? Like, you can't just, now if he did that to you, you'll feel away. So
Mhm.
But
I
harassment
think
is
accountability is key in calling women out when they doing it, just like we would call men out when they're in the wrong for doing it.
the sexual harassment, just for clarity, my HR hat coming in, it's unwanted. Just unwanted attention, unwanted it touches things like that. So and I would say no matter who's doing it, men, women, whoever, to whom, it's still inappropriate. And I think everyone should have boundaries. Don't touch me, no matter who it is, women to men, man to women, man to man, woman to woman, whoever, it doesn't matter. It's inappropriate, and everybody should be empowered to say, not to touch me, right? I think women are, again, we had this liberated moment that women are feeling a little bit more aggressive nowadays to do things, but I feel like everybody should be empowered to say, get away from me.
Mm. Lauren, we haven't heard from you all night. You just been sitting there absorbing.
Yeah,
What you
saying.
thinking, bro?
Let me start with a word of prayer for all you heathens. Now, I think if we call it a spade, any most guys, when you pull that picture back up, you ain't got to pull it up. I've seen it. I mean, first thing we would be saying, honestly, is we see ass and titties. Like, that's what we would be saying. If you go deeper into the picture, for me, what I saw was, the man's need for this woman is actually sucking the life out of her. That's kind of what
Mm.
I saw when I looked at that picture. It's his addiction and his needs and desires are sucking the life out of her. Uh, you know, uh, wow, it's tough. Having daughters. There's been certain outfits where I'm like, yeah, that's a no for me, dog. We need to go back in your room and change clothes. But having conversations with my daughters, having conversations with my sisters, and just uh, women who value themselves have taught me how to look at the way a woman dresses different. Uh, and so I think what I hear a lot of is when we talk about things like this is we're talking at each other and we're not really talking to each other. And so nobody's really hearing each other. And so we're not able to really solve any problems because it's more of a battle of who's right, who's wrong, who's being respectful, who's being disrespectful. And I think sometimes when we as men express ourselves and kind of our thought process as it ties around this particular subject, that we're almost shamed for even thinking and feeling the way that we do. And I think that's one of the bigger reasons that we probably don't change and we don't evolve, is because instead of having an open conversation and instead of accepting the way we think for what it is, we get shamed instead of being educated and being taught for a different level of understanding. And then when sex is everywhere. Our kids are surrounded by it. I mean, you're talking about 6, 7, 8-year-old kids that are surrounded by sex and have no idea how to even interpret what they're seeing, what they're hearing. A lot of times as parents, we don't jump in and redirect and re-guide those thoughts or those feelings and emotions that they're having. If you take it back to the religious side of things, uh, it's honestly, it's been detrimental because the truth of the matter is if you want to go spiritually, we're spiritual creatures having an earthly experience. Well, part of that earthly experience involves sex. So if we're not teaching our kids how to protect themselves in those moments of perceived intimacy, then we're really setting them up for failure. And it's probably a hard pill to swallow, but that is the absolute truth. If we want to, stop a culture of babies having babies, we need to truly, truly educate about the whole spectrum of sex and the whole spectrum of sexuality. And a lot of that ties into, how we as, young boys, not men, but boys, how we see women. And if not corrected, we become big boys that, are spreading that to the little boys. And so it is that perpetual culture So I do think it's absolutely important for us to really have these conversations, but have a conversation, not one side is right, one side is wrong, but let's talk about this from a place of trying to provide a level of understanding from both sides. Because, it's interesting when you talk about, you know, boys or men, being violated by women. You're absolutely right. I mean, we talk, we change our demeanor. Some of that is probably just due to shame, if we've been 100% honest, so it's just a way for us to, take that negative emotion and do something else with it. But it is also the culture of, you messing with an older chick, like, you doing something with yourself. And so again, let's talk. Let's talk to each other. Let's educate each other on the other part of the other side's perspective. And I do think that we'll be able to come to some type of medium where we can, agree. And then when you fight in culture, I mean, that's a whole nother fight. Culture is a whole nother fight. If you think about uh, everything that's put in front of our eyes. And here we are trying to say, no, you need to look at a woman like this. And then all of a sudden we see 5 commercials with just, women with they bodies hanging out, and it's kind of like I what it's a big opposition to fight against, but I think that we have to start somewhere, and we have to start in our own homes and have that cascade, because I do believe that if we learn to raise gentlemen in today's culture, I think it will have a carryover effect, and we'll be able to minimize, uh, this improper sex culture that we live in.
Listen, so I got to shout out the comment section because they are
Now,
over
hold
here
up. Y'all been
lighting
talking
it
the
up.
whole show. It's my time now. Let me
Yeah,
know, man. Go ahead.
bro. Hey, you get the rest of the show. I
Load
just want to
your
thank the audience. We
speech.
appreciate all of you for tuning in. Isha McConnell, thank you. Keep the comments coming. Louise Locks, Malik, good vibes. He's always in the building supporting. We appreciate you. He's tagging all of
Tagging
his
all the
people.
all
Thank
the
you so
aunties.
much. Rock Covington, thank you for tuning in. We got a interesting comment here. So the last couple actually talked about the children. So I want to kind of make this about the last piece of the conversation, the children. What do we do about the children? And so Sean Norfleet, he said the problem is underage kids have too much easy access to adult content. If you're grown, you do what you want. The children are my biggest concern. Though I have no kids of my own, I'm still concerned for their safety. Isha McConnell, she
See,
said, great points, Lauren. Women correct the girls, men correct the boys. We can't put it all on one gender. It's all of us being accountable and going back to protecting our future, which are the children. So let's talk about the children. We said, hey, I can do what I want. It makes me feel sexy. It makes me feel good. This is what I do. Okay. How do we raise the children in a way? Okay. So I saw Lauren. He was like, I saw LaToya. She said, So let's go with you two. Lauren first, just because you haven't had a lot of time to talk. What
I, I
was
would just
that?
I would just say that the reason we created Elevating Men, right, was because we can do everything we want to do with the young men, but if we don't correct the behaviors of the men, we nothing's gonna change. We gonna be telling little homie one thing, and then he got 2 other big homies telling him the exact opposite. So for us to only be concerned about the kids, like we can't. We have to be concerned about everything and everybody. And if we can correct the behaviors of adults, then that should naturally cascade down to the children. So, we keep wanting to skip over the grown folks because we like, you can't tell grown folks what to do. They too far gone, whatever. And it's just like that's the wrong attitude to have, and we when we begin to educate the adults and they begin to change their behaviors, then we will naturally build that protection for children will be built in.
I think one quick thing about protecting children is exposure. I have a 7, soon to be 8-year old, and now I'm at the point where, like, I need to start locking down some of the stuff he sees, even on kids' YouTube. Kids' YouTube is not even always the most appropriate. So I think is, and this is just rules for my household. I can't speak for everybody else's household, but it's the exposure, because the exposure is everywhere. There's innocent things that then an ad will pop up. I'm like, how is that on kids' YouTube, right? So I
Hmm.
think it is the amount, the exposure of things. And I think, like Lauren said, when those things do come up, is having that conversation, right? Right. About, what you saw and not. I think growing up, I speak for myself, growing up, a lot of things were like, oh, we don't talk about it, shame, taboo, I saw whatever, and shameful, but really having that conversation, okay, like small things like, when you tell kids no, that makes it more attractive to them to sneak and see it. And now I'm kind of at the point where, like, I'm trying to have these logical conversations. This is why at your age, why you shouldn't be watching X, Y, or Z. Not that I want to hide it from you because you will see it, but your brain right now is not developed enough to help you process that, right? And so it's like those kind of conversations I'm trying to have with him, because again, I don't want him shamed, like he's still innocent, right? He's still running around, he's 7, he's still running around in his underwear. I know that's about to come to an end soon. Like the other day he said, Mama needs some privacy. Like, privacy? Like, what? Like, I made you. But
Yo,
and finding
nephew.
that and finding that balance. But all that to say, it's the exposure. And I kind of, my mother was very strict, and I kind of like some of those things. I'm like, I get it, and I'm about to incorporate some of those things back into my house. But finding the balance, right? Because he gonna be in the real world and go other places where he gonna see some stuff I don't want him. But like having that conversation, yep, I know you saw it. This is why probably you don't understand it. That, but it's exposure. I'll tell everybody, like, limit as much as you can them out of social media and things that they are watching. Because even like I said, kids YouTube got inappropriate ads, and I'm like, how is this on kids YouTube?
Mm.
I
And
was
I
So,
think
gonna
Louis
say,
Block.
uh,
Also, I was just going to read this comment and then
uh,
to you, Devin. It just says, I see this generation putting their children in front of videos and movies that shows them things. I believe that it's harder to speak about the R word and what needs to be done if that happens and not be afraid to talk about it. On you, Devin.
so I was gonna come from. So I agree with both perspectives from Lauren and and LaToya. And I was thinking when we were talking about children, because even through my healing journey, I found myself dealing a lot with my younger self. A lot of things that I didn't address from childhood that were showing up in my adulthood. And one of the things that just made me think is a lot of the children are being raised by unhealed adults.
Mm,
So, like
mm,
Lauren was saying, if we reach the adults, because we always want to focus on the kids, but we're pouring into these babies that have to go back into these broken homes with parents that are going to undo everything that the community is trying to put into them. So I believe that every, again, accountability is key, and every level of a person needs to be getting the same, I guess, mental health approach, I would say, because there's only so much that the community can do for youth, and then that broken parent is going to undo. So we do need to address the brokenness in the adults, because the adults are the ones that are making the babies, that are raising these babies to be broken. So that's the first step. And then I do believe that as a community, we do owe our youth the opportunity to step in and intercede and give them knowledge and resources when they are, if they are in a in a broken home, because I've seen the rewards of a child being in a broken home, but having community, and that being the only thing that caused them to change for the better. So I will not take away the fact that community can always have a lasting effect on change in our youth, but we also need to make sure that we're giving a helping hand to the adults, because I don't think it's ever too late to give anybody the opportunity to change their life, to change their thought process, to heal from past traumas, and to become a better person. So holistically, I think we just need to ensure that we are approaching every generation, because we have some generations that are stuck in their ways, not realizing that those ways stem from trauma and generational curses and how they parent and how they do things, because now we are in a different generation. And I look at a lot of ways that my mother raised me when it came to conversations about sex. And it was kind of like the stern, we're not talking about sex because you ain't old enough to have it. And I look at all the mistakes that I made that could have been avoided had she just sat down and had simple conversation. Well, not simple conversations, but had the necessary conversations with me. So having a 16-year-old that has openly come to me like, Mama, I'm thinking about getting down. It gave me the opportunity to sit with him eye to his level and talk about the pros and cons of sex and what it could look like at his age versus what it represents my age, married and things of that nature. And we just have to not, again, kind of going back to what Lauren said, we have to have the conversations. We have to not be scared to have those conversations. And we have to be very open and transparent, because I think truth is what's going to really move us forward. It's the lies that hold us back. So having open, naked dialogue conversations with our children, with our significant others, with our peers, so that we can really start creating solutions to healing our culture. That's a whole nother hurdle, but I believe that taking those steps forward, we might not see it in our generation, but our children may see the benefits of it for their generation. So planting those seeds now so that, there's hope for our children and our children's children.
Gina Dully, she said, I raised 4 children, and watching my adult children navigate life has shown me just how broken we all are due to the unbalanced, broken home. We all constantly have discussions about therapy and healing. So, yes, starting with the parents is key. Absolutely. Andrew, I want to ask you, there's a quote that you always say, and it just kind of gives me a thought, but I don't want to butcher the statement. So I'm going to give that to you. LaRon, I'm going to come to you as we get ready to wind down, and just give you an opportunity to express your thoughts. Andrew, what's the quote you always say? It's like they see what they become, what they see, and
What I
they
see.
see. Yeah, give it to me.
Becomes what I know. What I
Got
know.
it.
What I know becomes what I believe, and what I believe is confirmed by what I see.
Okay, so when we talk about changing the children and starting with us, what they see is what we do. And so my question is, how often do our children see celebration? Like true celebration. How often do they really see that? 9 times out of 10, it's sports. So they see, cheering on the crowd. That's why a lot of our kids want to get into sports. They see the high reward with the high income. They see on social media, if I dress or dance a certain way, I get applause, I get followers, I get income, I get money. They see if we dress a certain way, income, money, attention. And so we really do have to change the things that we celebrate, because that's what kids are gravitating towards. They just want to be celebrated. That's what they're looking for. I want somebody to clap for me. And when it comes to education, how often are they getting celebrated then? Maybe when they get a report card, if it's above average. Maybe when they have a graduation, which they've taken most of the graduations out. You don't even have a graduation from elementary to middle school. So a couple celebrations then. When do they see more celebration? At a party, when they see adults drinking, smoking, loud music, everybody's twerking, having a good time. That's when they see celebration. And so if we want to change their mindset and what they feel good about doing, we have to change what we celebrate.
That way they send us down to the basement.
Right, kids go in the back room. We in here celebrating. They hear the good time, so even if they don't see it, they hear it. They like, man, they
And
having a
we
good
look
time.
forward to it when
Right,
we get
they walk
older.
through to get their
Man.
plate. You know what I'm saying? They see the beers, they see the liquor, they see everything else, and so they're like, okay, that's a celebration. I like that.
And that's why you come home from work and say, "Little Johnny, where you at? Are you down in that basement? Who's down there with you?"
Right.
happens.
And that's why you start seeing that bottle. It's like it's going down. You're like, I ain't had a drink in a couple weeks, you know. But hey, that's a whole different conversation. A whole different conversation.
Quit
LaRon,
snitching. Quit snitching.
just winding down the conversation. Like we could talk about this all night, and I'm definitely loving it. Definitely loving it. But LaRon, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'll just say what's been acknowledged a few times. First of all, exposure is everything. Going along with what we're talking about, exposure is everything when it does come to the children and leading our children. We can't hide them from everything, and we're not trying to hide them or from everything or unexpose them, but we want to limit what they see because we understand the effects that it has on the mind. One, because we see what's happening to everyone else, and then we can even look at ourselves and look at our own traumas. And most of the time as parents, that's what we do. We go and we say, you know what, because I was exposed to this, I don't want my child to be exposed to this. But a lot of times we don't look outside of things that we weren't exposed to and think from another perspective of what it may do to our child if they're exposed to it. Like simple things, following the culture. Like a lot of times culture is not doing the things that are beneficial. Cultures, anyway, dealing with, that's why we got a lot of obesity. I'm not going to get into that, but a whole bunch of different things going on because of culture said this is how we should do it. I will say another thing which is very powerful. Speaking on what you said as far as a child and acknowledgement, this is not just for a child, but might want to write this down. Acknowledgement is a powerful drug. Keep that on you. Most people, adults and everything, we just want to be acknowledged. And when we are acknowledged for things that are positive, when you're acknowledged for doing things that speak of our brilliance, that speak of our intelligence, that shows that we are moving in the right direction and we're doing things that are actually contributing to the people around us. When we are acknowledged for those things, it's a powerful drug because it keeps us wanting to go after it more and more and more. And any drug that people get on, it has you coming back more and more and more. It's an addicting factor to it. So acknowledgement is a powerful drug. And the only time we acknowledge our children, the times we should acknowledge our children is when we see them do little things like going to the restroom when they should, using a restroom when they pee on themselves at night when they're not told, starting at a young age. And then as adults, acknowledge what you see in a person that when you do see they're doing something nice. Acknowledge when you see them dressed nice. Acknowledgement is a powerful drug. So I truly believe if we're going to make a difference, if we're going to make a change, if we're going to really progress, one, we got to, we got to acknowledge things that are moving us in a positive way as a culture, in a positive way that are going to help us really become more of a unit as men and women.
So true, so true. There was a quote that I read, and it said that you can actually mark the downfall of a culture by, just open sexuality, promiscuity, all of that. You can just mark the downfall of a culture. And so when you look at different cultures and how they operate and how strict they are, not saying that I agree with all of it, but I do see that the goal for a lot of them is just to keep a strong culture, to keep a strong family unit, etc. And so, listen, I love this conversation. I appreciated it. We could keep going, but we can't. You gotta go to bed, right? But before we do that,
my question though.
What was the question?
Did you have to shave your chest hair before you did that intro?
Bro, I don't even hardly grow chest hair like that. I'm not a hairy dude.
Don't take the bait. I say don't take the bait.
Right. Lauren, I feel harassed. How about that?
Hey, that's what makes a great comedian. They can bring the joke all the way back.
Bruh. So no, before we go, like we didn't even do any announcements because I knew how this conversation was going to go, so I didn't want to take any time away from the meat of the conversation. But we have two lovely guests on here, so I definitely want to give them time to promote their business, let people know who they are, what they're doing, where they can be found and followed. Ms. Rozof, I'll start with you.
Man, you didn't have to. Man, I appreciate. You was talking about that.
Yeah, man, we hear from you enough, bro.
He's something else. Thank you for the opportunity. It was a really good, robust conversation, and hope I contributed to it somehow. LaToya Rozof, owner of 79 Rose Dress Shop, by appointment here in Olathe. Our mission is to really to promote body positivity and really help women embrace their curves. And that is about 79 Rose. So thank you again. Thanks for having me on.
So how do they find it?
Oh, sorry.
79rose.com?
Yes, you can find me at 79rose.com, at 79rose, Rose with a Z, on Facebook and Instagram, Pinterest, YouTube, all the places. If you Google 79 Rose, I'll pop up everywhere.
And you got a physical location, or can they only buy online, or how
Yep.
does that work?
Physical location in Olathe by appointment. And then yes, you could also buy online. And I was in the pitch weekly 2 weeks ago. So there's also
Congratulations.
about my business in the pitch. So yes.
Congrats.
Yes. Thank you so much. We
All right.
appreciate having you on. You added a lot of value to the conversation. You gave me some things that I need to kind of think about and process. Over the course of the week, we'll be putting out snippets of this conversation, and so I'll be looking out for that. And we always promote those who come on and show us love. And so thank you so much. Thank you so much. We appreciate you. Miss Devin Elisse, talk to the people.
It's me. So, my name is Devin Elisse. I am the founder of Lifted KC. We are a local nonprofit that focuses on creating safe spaces and providing resources to men related to mental health. So, we are a little um, different, I would like to say, in a good way, because I definitely want to create the space for our Black men. So, I'm always grateful when my brothers reach out to ask me to be on their podcast and have these very, very important and necessary conversations from a woman and a man's perspective. So thank you guys. Like he said in the beginning, we have a Men Hill movement, and we just did our second year Men Hill conference in Kansas City. It was June 1st. It was a phenomenal event. I love that we are creating these spaces for men to have dialogue about obstacles that they're dealing with on a day-to-day basis. And because of the traction, we've just been invited to partner with a very prestige college in St. Louis, which is Washington University. We're working with their Black Men Coalition and their Kappas, and we're taking the conference down the highway. So September 14th, we're offering the Men Hill Conference, in St. Louis. And of course, I'm trying to take my brother wherever I go. So Dr. Ryan S. Harvey is going to be the keynote there as well. And I mean, you can always find us on Facebook, Lifted KC. Our website is www.liftedkc.org. We're always looking for ways to partner, people to collaborate with, events, everything. Like, we really just want to pour into our community of men and make sure that they are loved. Also, there's an event August 11th that Rockstar Gumbo is doing. Brother reached out to me. He is bringing a phenomenal speaker. His name is William Hollis King. And I mean, brother is like motivational from the hood. Like, so we can relate to the things that he's saying. He's actually doing a Pushing Peace tour right now. So Kansas City is one of his stops. So I'm honored to be on the platform again with my brother Ryan and then with William. So that is a free event in Kansas City. So check it out. The flyers floating around Facebook. Hope to see you guys there. Get your brothers, sons, nephews, uncles, grandpas, because again, change can happen at any age, and we just want to make sure that we're creating the spaces for those opportunities.
Devin, we appreciate you so much. You are doing the
Always.
work. You are doing the work. And so we absolutely love it. Please support Devin, follow Lifted KC, support LaToya, follow 79rose.com. Man, like I said, this was a great conversation. Make sure you share it with your network. Don't stop
Yes.
the conversation here. Right. So like have some people come over or have a watch party, pull this up on Zoom, talk about it. Right. Because these are conversations that we definitely need to have. Of course, we'll be back next week. We're going to change our time. And so we've been doing 8:30. we're going to go ahead and move that time up. So be looking for the announcement. We're going to get to you a little bit earlier so that you can get the kids to bed on time and not feel like you're missing out on the Elevating Men show. But before we go, my brothers, I know that they see you all every week. I'm not going to do the Elevating Men announcements because we'll be putting those out, so they'll see that. But is there anything that you want to leave the people with? AB, LaRon, Lauren, anything that you want to leave them with?
So on August 4th, Elevating Men will be discussing these very topics again through a book called The Top 10 Reasons Why Men Refuse to Say I Love You. And we go deeper into our why. What we hope to do is to take the blame out of our conversation and accept the responsibility for our first cause. And sometimes it's masked, sometimes it sounds different, sometimes it feels different. We just hope that some of you all will tune in so that you can hear what some of these men are saying about their first cause.
Thank you. LaRon, did you want to talk to them a little bit about Sunday? LaRon? You're muted.
Yes, absolutely. Look, Sunday at 9 a.m. right before the morning, we have motivational moments with LaRon. It's your inspiration for the week. Look, we touch on a lot of different topics, but what we're going to be doing is talking about how to advance you, how to accelerate you, how to get your mindset right, how to think correctly, because our lives are a result of our thinking. So we're going to be giving you tips and tricks on how to elevate your life, how to elevate your mind. We're going to motivate, inspire, and give you the things that you need to become successful. I look forward to seeing y'all there at 9 a.m. Sunday morning, every Sunday morning.
Is it on Facebook?
Absolutely. Thank you for saying that. Facebook Live. I believe we're streaming on, not Instagram right now, but right now just Facebook. But we'll get Instagram and YouTube set up as well.
Right, that's right. Lojo Speaks.
Do y'all have communion? Will y'all be having communion? No. Yeah, I don't have anything to say, man. I've thoroughly enjoyed this conversation. We appreciate all the love and support that you guys have shown us over the last 2-3 years, and just stay tuned for more because what we have in store, y'all gonna love.
Hey, Andrew, if you don't mind, brother.
No, you already had your turn.
I apologize.
Get it all out at once, man. Come on. No.
I just want to admit, if you want to be an effective speaker or speak effectively, and you want to be more confident in your presentation skills and your communication skills, I'm actually having a training here, 2-day training. It's on the 17th and 18th. If you are interested in becoming a better presenter or want to communicate effectively, where you can get exactly what you're trying to say across and be impactful, I want to help you. Just reach out to me, and I'll put the link in the description on how you can sign up.
All right. And then, of course, when I'm not elevating men, I'm helping families protect themselves with life insurance. It's extremely important. And so don't neglect that. Don't leave your family to chance. If something were to happen, just imagine the financial devastation that your family could face, and just understand that for a few dollars a day, what you're spending on lunch, what you're spending on going out to eat, all of these different things can actually protect your family in a substantial way. And so if you have questions about life insurance, go to aljohnsonlifeinsurance.com. There's a ton of articles, a lot of helpful information to help you understand how policies work and how you can protect your family. So that's aljohnsonlifeinsurance.com. Outside of that, it is all about elevating men. That's what we're all here to do. And so we appreciate each and every one of you watching. We will make the announcement on the exact time, but we are going to move up from 8:30. We're thinking around 8 o'clock, 7 o'clock. We may put out a poll and see what you all want. But thank you so much for tuning in, and we will see you all next week.